Okay.
Thanks, everybody that's come in so far. We'll wait just a couple more minutes to give folks another minute to get here before we get started up. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, everybody that's joined. I think we'll just one more minute, Joe. You think if the stragglers another minute or two?
Yeah, we have about 800 more people to come on, so let's maybe wait one more minute. That'd be great.
At least, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I know. I'm usually 3 minutes late myself, so we'll give 102 and a half, maybe. How about that?
This is about the time that I would be finishing up my lunch and saying, "Oh, I need to get on that webinar now." So yeah, this makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect. I like it.
We'll give just one more minute and then we'll get started. Thanks, everybody that's here so far.
Yes, yeah. Thank you guys for joining right on time, and looking forward to going through this with you guys.
I think that's the right way to put it, going through it, because it's really, it's a journey. That's what we're.
It's yes, journey of 1,000, well, whatever, miles begins with one step or something. It was, yeah.
Sure.
Yes, no, yeah. It's I'm looking forward to kicking this off. We got a few more attendees coming in. Thank you guys for joining, girls for joining, ladies for joining, everybody for joining. I say we start at 103. That sounds good to everybody.
It's as good a time as any, honestly.
Perfect.
We'll wait till exactly then, and then you know what? It's just
Yeah.
Let's just keep going.
It's good. Everyone's muted, which means no. I'm picturing a lot of laughing going on already, so that's perfect. In my head, everyone's finds us very funny. So
yeah,
hopefully that's the case.
This is better than the calls where people can speak and they still don't laugh at our jokes. So that's
the checker. Yeah,
we just imagine this time.
Super with a mute. Best, yes.
Also, we can't see their faces, so the looks of disapproval from our jokes is don't worry
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, no disapproving. Yeah, no disapproving faces. So appreciate everyone coming on. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think Jonathan, maybe we start to kick off then. That sounds
yeah, thanks,
good.
yeah, 103. Go, we're ready. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, again, thank you everyone for coming on. We're hoping this is a fun experience today for everybody. I come from Techfino on the sales side of NetSuite, but I'm someone that Jonathan, who anybody that's been on webinars before for Techfino has met before. Jonathan taught me NetSuite. So the great days of NetSuite, I'm so thankful I met him. And then when I have really long, hard days, sometimes I think, why didn't I just, follow my father's footsteps to the post office? But no, but at any rate, we have a great time here. And Jonathan taught me a lot of things. And there's some of these pieces that Jonathan's taught me in the past and more recently that really are advantages in NetSuite they're there, right? And everybody who's on this call who has NetSuite, your system, your ecosystem will be able to do this, right? These are not nothing here is advanced or something you have to buy, right? It's within the system itself. So we're hoping to make this fun, and we're going to play a little remember when stuff and go through 4 or 5, maybe 6 different topic areas. And the last one should be one that is newer to me, but Jonathan really kind of knocked my socks off a little while ago with it. So hopefully you guys also agree on with that. So anything, Jonathan, from your side before we start to kick off?
No, I'm very excited to be doing this with Joe. If any of you have joined us in the past, you just had to listen to me for an hour. So I'm excited to have Joe on here with us. As he said, we go way back, so we do this a lot together, which is fun. He's gonna run through some stuff that he's gonna throw at me, and we're gonna see if maybe he can stump the band a little bit or something. Just kind of remind me some things that we've talked about in the past, and we'll see how easily I can roll with it. Therefore I have prepared for this just as much as I have the ones in the past, which is very little. So Joe's going to try to see where we can go.
No,
I'm excited about it.
that's perfect. No, that's a great way to do it. And yeah, there's Jonathan hasn't been prepped on this so much as I give him a little bit of heads up on maybe some of the ideas, but we'll see what he thinks. And I'm going to try and make this a little more SNL, maybe a little Chris Farley interviewing somebody, because to me, Jonathan is an idol of mine in NetSuite, and hopefully you guys probably already have figured this out already by being on the webinar. If you haven't seen that one's just his first few minutes, I'm sure he's an idol for you too. So, all right, Jonathan, if you remember, I really enjoy the global search bar of NetSuite, right? I go in there, I need to look up, a bill. I need to look up a client, I type in the client's name, and then I sort through 30 or 40 different results till I find the proper one that I need, right? So, but I do remember you're like, Joe, that you could do it that way, but you could just, learn a couple little ways of searching. So instead of getting 100 results, you get one result and the one you want, right? So is that something you could maybe show everybody and make sure
let's do this.
they're not like me? So
out of this real fast.
yeah,
let me pull this up. Yeah, this is one of the things. This is honestly, when we show people NetSuite for the first time, this is one of the first things we point out to them, right? Is the global search. So everyone that's used NetSuite, you're aware of the global search, but there's some really cool things about it that I think sometimes people forget, right? Or maybe they just don't learn it. Actually, literally, I learned one just the other day. I'll show you this in just a second. This actually was super exciting for me, right? But yeah, the global search, right? You start looking for a customer, it's got blue in the name or something like that, right? And we can pull that up. A lot of people do know about, for instance, you see my customer Blue Pumpkin here, right? But if I start looking for, let's say, pumpkin, Blue Pumpkin is going to pop up there too. I don't know necessarily where it is. So some of the cool things you can do are like put in the wildcard. That basically is, I know it's got this word somewhere in the middle or a part of this word. I know, I don't know exactly how they spelled it, if it was this or that. Throw in that wildcard, that percent symbol in there. Let's basically look for anything that's near it, right? So kind of like in Excel where you're doing, like when you do a VLOOKUP, and you tell it is an exact match or a near match. That's essentially what you're telling NetSuite in this stance, right? So it's really cool that you kind of help you find things that you don't remember exactly the way it is in the system. But some of the things too, like you're like Joe, like you're only looking for customers, right? You can use those shorthands, right? Where you can say, okay, only show me customers that are blue something, right? So you don't have to search through all the invoices for that customer, or all the, bills or whatever it may be.
But isn't it more fun when you find five
We have
minutes of things to
a
search
million
through
of them.
though?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that was
Exactly.
what
It's
I
so
would
much
like
more
to
fun
do. The
that way.
full
Yeah.
name, and then I can look for it that way. But yeah,
Exactly. And that can be done, first 2 or 3 letters of most record types, whether they're entities, customers, if you do contacts, you can do that in there too, right? You can do CON, blue, right? It's only going to show me contacts. If it's, invoices, for instance, and then you can find, invoices that may have blue in it for, something like that. Apparently we don't have any, so that's fine too. Right. It could be sales orders, it could be bills. There's, all those little, basically those 2 to 3 first little letters of the type of record you're looking for. That includes, a lot of people forget this one. You can find saved searches that way. SEA : right? So if I know I've got a saved search that's sales something, right? I can look for saved searches that are in here. The other thing, and people don't think about this was a newer thing that was added into the global search later on. So a lot of people that have been using global searches for years don't realize that it does this too. A lot of times I forget menu paths, right, of where things are. So you can actually search for, a page within the system. So if it's like, okay, I need to enter a sales order, but I don't remember the menu path for that, I can say enter sales orders. And you can see, here is my menu path to how to get to that. And then I can click on it and go to that page. But it also reminds me, okay, it's under the transactions tab, under sales, enter sales orders, right? So it's going to also give you that path, so I can, get a good reminder of where I'm going. But it also, like I said, is going to take me there too. So here's my sales orders, right? So here's my enter a sales order. So that's true of reports, menu pages, things like that. And then the cool thing, Joe, I think you're going to like this. So I just learned this the other day, which is, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing NetSuite, you always learn something new. I was looking for a customer. This happens to me all the time, right? I was looking for a customer, and what was it called? It was called like South End Consulting, I think, right? Doesn't exist in here. But I know this customer was in the system. Well, we have the concept of inactivating things in the system. If you put a plus sign after the search term, it will find inactive results of those, in this case, a customer, right? Or whether it's any other kind of entity or whatever it is. Because normally in global search, it will not show you inactive records. Putting that plus sign will tell it to include inactives in there. So that was one, even for me, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Game changer. Because how many times though I look for something that I know is there and it was inactive the whole time. So really, really quick way to do it.
Oh, that's cool. It takes the search to another level. I knew it, and it always teaches me something. And see, today now I have the plus sign.
That was one I learned. So it's getting cool things. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Global search, great. Anything else you do with it, Joe, that I missed? I know you used it a lot. So.
Well, I use it a lot. After you teach me how to use it a lot. So the shortcuts have been huge. I was one of those people that would just type. I always would type in just the whole word if I spelled it wrong. I really. But the plus sign, I think that could be leaving it on a high note. Okay. But I do know we can within NetSuite too. You can see these search. There's more than these that we showed, and we can send those out too, right? So. But you kind of get to your favorites. You use use a couple the most of the time, like everything else. But I think that was one that that I loved, and it's an easy one. So, and I should say to everybody on this call, they get better. I'm coming with better things and better questions. Okay.
I appreciate you starting easy.
But that was a nice one. I think it's one that you could forget. You forget. You have an implementation. You remember. But I like that. So, but next, this one. If you don't mind, we move on to another topic. First off. Okay, thank you. Pretty much, it's what I told you. Listen, Jonathan, I am not a code writer, believe it or not. Right? When you found me, right back in the day, I was actually with a different ERP, and you told me. I said, listen, I'm not a code writer, right? What can I do in NetSuite without doing that? Right? It was intimidating. You told me, listen, man, there's something called save searches. You do not have to write code to use these, to create workflows, to actually do some cool stuff in the system. It hooked me. So I'm sure some folks maybe have used it a little bit on the call here, but right, no scripting. Just show us a little bit of that if you don't mind. It was awesome when you do it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah. And one of the things I love to point out to people, I don't code either. I'm not a developer, but I have
Humble.
learned
No, you're not.
mostly through using it as a customer, honestly. But from other smart people who have taught me some things, I've learned how to do some really neat things with safe searches and with workflows as well. And they are user friendly. Workflows are getting into a little bit more power user range, right? But still, you do not need to know how to code to do it. I pull up this reminders portlet all the time. It's one of my favorites. I always show it to people, a little bit of broken record. But what I love to point out is, these are, basically saved searches that are driving this. Most of these are out of the box. So NetSuite's already created them for you. If you see the ones that have a C, that's a custom one. But even then, usually those were custom to the Suite Success version of NetSuite, the bundle that you got. So still out of the box. But you can create your own, right? So when we think about ways to automate the system, right, to make your job a little easier, think about, okay, what can I do with a safe search that will tell me what I need to know? What is going on with this system, right? I always show a good example down here. Here's, employees hired later than 1/1/2019, right? How specific do we need to be here, right? Invoices that are greater than 30 days old, that are also greater than $50,000, right? So you think about what are the things that are important to you that you need to know. Don't let the system, dictate to you exactly what it is that you're looking at, right? Because that may not mean anything to you at all. So we can create those with the safe searches. So let me come in here and I'll create a safe search here quickly. And let's say I'll do a transaction type search, right? This is all just about, what type of records we're starting with. This has to do with the relational databases and what we're connecting to, right? So in this instance, let's say we're doing the invoices, right? Like the greater than 30 days, greater than $50,000, something like that, right? So different ways we can do that. So we're going to create a safe search, right? I'm not going to show you, everything how to do a safe search because that's, that's a whole different training thing. And my internet apparently is running super slow at the moment.
But my favorite thing to do with safe search is create one and then pretend I know something that no one else knew. And I ask people here at Tech, you haven't realized how many invoice over 50,000 we come in? You don't know
Yep.
this? I created, so
Exactly.
you can have some fun with it. All right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, let's say, let's say I'm going to do if I could type correctly, that would help me. I'm going to come in here and like I said, just like, I would do any other, I'm going to say, okay, here's I'm going to do invoices. Like I said, we can do, date ranges and say it's within, like this month or something like that. Let's just say that. What's that last month? So, right. So we can do anything we want there. We can say, the amount is greater than a certain dollar value, right? So we say, okay, it's greater than or equal to, we'll do $1,000 because that popped up. Nice and easy for me, right? But so let's say we want to automate that, right? Put that on our dashboard within the reminders. Easy little checkbox here, available for reminders. As soon as I save this, I can go back to my dashboard, back to that reminders portlet, and this save search will be available there for me to select as one of those reminders. Maybe I want to use this as a list, a save search list on the dashboard and portlet, available as dashboard view. Maybe I want to use this as a sub list on another record, right? Maybe I want to add this to a sub list at the bottom of a customer and say, hey, show me this customer any invoices within the last month that are greater than or equal to $1,000. So I can create that as a sub list that can then be put on other records as well. So just easy check boxes here that can, already we're starting to use these in new different ways. But then also, I love the emailing functionality here, right? Where now we're going to start actually, sending this to people based on certain criteria, or we're going to start, bubbling up those reminders, things like that. So things like whether sending an alert when a record is created or updated, right? Maybe I need to know when an invoice was updated. I need to get an alert and say, hey, we allow other people to make changes, but I need to know who changed it, what happened, why. So now I can get alerts just when it was updated or just when something was created potentially, right? And I can even come in here and say, okay, when it was, updated or created, and I can say what was updated about it. Maybe when the amount was changed, right? So, okay, only let me know, okay, the amount after discount when the old value is not equal to the new value, something like that, right? So that's easy. So now we're getting to that next stage of what really happened here. Why do we need to look at this, right? So you can, like I said, start thinking through not just I want to look at a giant list. I want to know specifically when this thing happens, and I need to get an email about it. I need to get a reminder on my dashboard, whatever it may be. So that's one cool thing. And then I love, Joe, you're a sales rep, right? So you get alerts all the time. You got a new lead, you got a new contact was added, new communication came in, right? So you're getting those because of these specific recipients where maybe a new lead was generated where Joe is the sales rep. And I can say, okay, sorry. I can say, okay, only send this to the sales reps on this record. That way I'm not creating, 20 of these for every sales rep in the company, right? I'm creating it one time, and these automations are going to the specific recipients based on the records in NetSuite. So I love this function too, right? Because it makes it easier to manage. Because I used to create those searches in the past, right, for the sales teams, and trying to manage, all the different ones for every different sales rep was a real pain, right? So being able to do it single time, single search, send them the results that were pertinent to them and not anything else, because we know they're not going to look at anything else, was really nice. So those are cool automations. That's probably stuff you're doing too, right, Joe? You've probably created some things like this.
Yeah, it's cool. At the beginning, it felt like magic, Mike, when you taught me this stuff, and yeah, it's makes me feel like I'm a lot smarter than I am. But it's yeah, to automate this stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're creating workflows, we're sending emails. It's nice. You said it, forget it type scenario, which is the best. I mean, that's using NetSuite to to its best ability, really, and
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the workflows on top of that, right? This is an easy builder where we're setting triggers, right? Of this happened, so make this happen now, right? And you come in here and you say, okay, what is it that's kicking this off? Is it that, in this case, let's say we created a new customer record, or maybe like I said, getting you an email that a new lead was created that you were assigned to, right? So we can, we can do that. Let's say, new lead alert, right? It's going to be the name of this. I'm going to create this, and a couple little settings here just for me to know the logging and all that, right? And like I said, this is going to be on created. I could do it also when things were viewed or updated, for instance. And then this is I'll save here and let this run its thing. Do it. There we go. Oh yeah, let's think about it. So this is a drag and drop builder when I go through this, right? So it's about to load a page here. If my internet will kick in. Here we go. Oh, it already exists because I already tried to create it. Because I got impatient. I clicked on things. That's what I was.
We all know this drill sometimes. Yep.
Yeah. Let me go back to my new lead. There we go. Here we go. Right. So this is where I can come in and say, okay, what do I want to do when a new lead comes in, right? So maybe I want to send an email, right? And that's easy. Okay, so new lead is created, and what do I want to do? I want to, send a message, send an email. Easy. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, okay, send an email to this person whenever it enters this state, right? So new thing was created. Who's it coming from? I can send it from whoever I want, right? I can do it dynamically. Let's just say all these emails are going to come from Abby, for instance. And then who am I going to send it to? So I can send it to someone specifically, or I can send it to a certain field. So let's say, for instance, I want to send it to the person that was assigned as the sales rep, right? So once again, I'm not creating this a million times for every single person that is a sales rep. This workflow is going to run and let me send an email to whoever was assigned to this lead as the sales rep. They're going to get an email automatically. And then I can come in here and I can say, yeah, here's your message, new lead assigned, right? Do I want to include some field information there? Any other things? I can create templates for this, right? You can get more creative than just say you have a new lead assigned, right? Do I want to include, the record link there so that when they get the email, they can click on it and go straight to the lead, right? That's easy. Like I said, I can use dynamic tags in here as far as fields go, things like that. Save, right? So now I can say, okay, every time a lead is generated, it's going to send an email to that sales rep. And then I can stack things too. I want other actions, right? What else do I want to do? Do I want it to create a new record for me? Do I need it to, display a message to someone that's going to pop up? Do I want to set field values? And this is great, right? For those people that say, okay, when I select this thing, when I change it to this status, or when I change it to this thing, I want it to automatically set this field and that field and whatever it may be based on those, right? This is how you can easily do those with a very simple builder that, once again, I've done all this just, clicking through menu paths and things, right? Just selections. I haven't coded anything at all. There's no script involved in, at least for me, right, on this side of things that I have to do. And being able to create different stuff. Okay, after that happens, what happens? Okay, we go to the next step. And then, this is how we create approvals, right, in the system. Anytime you have a custom approval process, what happens if, this person approves and that person and this person, or if it gets rejected, then it goes back to this stage. I've created, custom requisition flows for this, right? I've got, a million different things. So, for anybody on this call, thinking through the processes that you go through of this thing happens, and then it needs to kick off that. This field needs to be updated. This person needs to be alerted. We want to generate a new record off of it, this or that, right? Workflows are great tools that you can build those automations. And once again, you don't have to have a developer to do it. So these are really cool. I love building these. They're a lot of fun. Any particular you've seen, Joe, that you really like?
All right, first off, I feel a bit of bragging there that you've done all these, customer. Okay, just for the record, I said no bragging on this webinar. That's okay. That's great. You did them all.
Sorry.
Yeah. I love anytime you can create a workflow. Obviously, once our clients realize they can do it themselves, it's huge, right? We sometimes we help them with it, but once you can teach someone to do this, it's fun. You can do things, take a couple minutes to do something, automate it. That's something you don't go do the rest of the time. So, I think the trick is, though, always make it appear harder than it is. So, if people you're working on know this is this easy, do not tell them first off. So just keep that in mind. That's would be my
try to look really frustrated and like you're working hard.
Be very yes. Thank you. You have to do that. Yes.
But you made a great point there, Joe, too, right? Of even if it's something that we build for you in many cases, I love these because let's take an approval process, for instance, right? A lot of times say, okay, this person can only approve up to $10,000. Well, how many times have I had a customer come back to me and go, we want to change that from $10,000 to $15,000?
Is that it? Yep.
Yep. Not that I don't mind helping them by any means, but you shouldn't have to come to me to change it from 10,000 to 15,000. It's, a quick little, change of a number is all, right? So workflows are great because even if you don't build these yourself, even if you need help getting them started, they're easy for users to come in and be able to make those little tweaks.
That's a great point. Yeah, actually, that's usually modifying what's there. Again, that's a good point. There's a lot of good points there. A lot of good points.
Sure.
So I think enough there.
Sure. Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, that was good. Good. Unless you want to say any more about workflows.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Okay.
So sometimes salespeople, we can be a little cheap, frugal, if you will, but you got to make sure you ebbs and flows. And at Techfino here, the way Jonathan and I, you work with us, or folks that are newer to Techfino or newer to NetSuite work with us. And one of the things we try to guard against is going to the supermarket hungry, right? There's a lot of things in NetSuite you can do with NetSuite, but there's the things that are really important, right? And we need to make sure that those are your phase one, and the extras you kind of come down. But if you remember, Jonathan, there's these things called limited access roles. Do you remember these?
I did. Yeah.
They're a bit newer. Some. This is something that depending on when you purchase NetSuite, you may have had access to, you may not have, but it's really helped us going forward. So, there used to be just that one sort of general access user for NetSuite, whether you're a warehouse person, right? Or there's other ones, right? Warehouse. What else would you say? Would you call them? Warehouse workers. The newer
ones. Yeah. So there's
view and approve.
There's view and approve. There's CRM specialized user. Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a lot to show there, but I just want to make sure that was something that's came to me. It's a little bit newer. It really helps the cost of users. If you're coming into a renewal with NetSuite, it's always something you could look at. A lot of times people, at least some clients of mine, they could have had view and approve type users, or they just didn't because it wasn't worth wasting $130, whatever it is, $120 per user on, right? This has really helped in some of these. So these specialized users, it's been fun. It's been great. It allows us to get some of these folks in NetSuite that normally just would have been cost prohibitive. And I like my software be as cheap as possible. I don't mind spending money on food. but I really don't want to spend as much on software if I can avoid it. So that's how we look at it for our clients as well, which is done pretty well. But yeah, these are, so here, these ones, these invoice approval, journal approval. Yeah. Have you seen, I mean, I don't think there's any gotchas with these, Jonathan. I mean, it's right.
No. Yeah, for so long, I always hated, we would be talking to prospects, right? And that, we would be talking about like, oh yeah, we have approvals and automation and things like that. And without fail, almost every time somebody go, well, what if we just have a person that all they do is need to approve? They don't really need access to do anything else in the system. Do we have to buy a full license for them? And for so many years, I'd have to go, yeah, you have to buy a full license for that person to be able to approve. And customers didn't like that, which is fair.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the fact that they've brought this out within the last year or so, they've brought out these specialized roles, and they've been creating new ones as well. I'm sure they'll bring out maybe even more potentially, but this one in particular is big, right? This is for users that all they need to do is see some reports and approve things, right? So as you see here, right, whether they're approving invoices or transfer orders or bills or whatever it may be, yeah, this is a cheaper way for a person that only needs limited access. We had the employee center role for a long time. That's extremely limited, right? Just the kind of like time entry and expense reports, which is fine for some uses, right? But these type of licenses give you some more functionality there. So this CRM one, this is one that I personally think is really neat as well. This is your sales team, right? You don't want them doing a whole lot in the system. They're just creating sales orders, quotes, sending, doing some of your CRM functionality, right? Of contacts.
That's a big one. That's been a big one. Yeah.
So yeah, for so many times we would see people, wanting to do CRM stuff in NetSuite. The licensing was maybe prohibitive if they had a fairly large sales team. So having these new roles that are cheaper and then also limited in their scope, I think is really cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, the view and approve is a big one. CRM role. Obviously, yeah, the WMS, if you are doing warehouse management system, there's the WMS specific user. There are the supply chain management mobile users now, right? So people that are just doing kind of not full WMS, but simple kind of warehouse, supply chain type things that they want to use those mobile devices. There are cheaper roles for them as well. So.
Perfect. Yeah. Those have helped. That's been a good development as of late. And I think if you had NetSuite for a while, the general access user went up a little bit, and these luckily came in to really help to take care of a lot of it. So some look out for our new clients. We're always trying to figure out ways to use the specialized users if we can for somebody. But I think if you're already on NetSuite, definitely take a look at kind of who maybe you wanted to bring in but didn't before. It could be worth another look at it. So. But interesting you brought up CRM user. So I 10 years ago didn't know what ERP stood for, okay? But I didn't know what CRM stood for, right? But I find, since I've been in ERP the last decade, some people have totally heard of CRM, or they know what ERP is, I should say, but never heard of CRM, right? Sure. It's interesting because people think of NetSuite ERP, they don't think of it as having CRM capabilities, right? Yeah. And in some cases, when we're talking with a new client, they might be using something, and very well maybe they stick with it. But if it's a CRM that they're not getting a lot of use out of, CRM is borderline free. I mean, it comes with pretty much every package you can get from NetSuite. I mean, it's in there, its functions there. I mean, it's got everything that we pretty much need. Is it something that you could maybe just show a little bit through? But
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, my favorite anecdote about this, I had a customer years ago that I was working with that they were manufacturer and distributor, and I was doing a lot of projects around that, and the COO or whoever it was I was working with came to me and said, hey, our sales and marketing team are evaluating some CRMs. Could you help them maybe to figure out what might work best with NetSuite, that they're looking at these, and they were looking at third parties. And so I asked them, I just said, hey, what are the things that you're looking at that you're not getting from NetSuite's CRM? Maybe some functionality that you feel like is not quite there as far as what native NetSuite has. And their response was, what do you mean? Because they didn't know that NetSuite had a CRM. The NetSuite system that they had been in for years, they had no idea that it had all the CRM functionality. So I ended up just showing them through, right? Well, this is what NetSuite can do now, right? And I think that's a fairly common thing I've run into, right? Is people don't understand, one, that CRM comes out of the box with what you've already purchased, right? You've got a full customer relationship management tool in NetSuite. I think too, because NetSuite doesn't necessarily focus that much on it, that a lot of times people think that it's not as good as some of the others, you know, a Salesforce or a HubSpot or things like that, right? And you know, in some cases, it's not maybe as good as some of these things. In many cases, it is just as good, if not better, than some of those. It really depends on your use case, right? And what you do with it in your business. But it is a full CRM. So as far as, you know, tracking leads, tracking, you know, your opportunities and quotes, all of that functionality is in the system. And then when you go beyond that, then you start getting into, you know, being able to track things like our forecasts, right? So now we've got, you know, sales rep quotas that we can track, right? We've got you know, forecasts that we can track. Let's see, these are reports here, right? So you can just kind of get an idea of what this looks like, and you can see forecast versus quotas and break down by you know, customers, by sales reps, things like that. It's got a full pipeline analysis, right? So then we're going to go ahead and look at, say, the pipeline for these customers, right? The opportunities that we need to win and the tracking of those. And then our sales activity as well, right? So, you know, phone calls, emails, all of that, you know, capability to track that information is right inside of NetSuite. And where I would put NetSuite up against any other CRM on the market is having your CRM and your ERP 100% integrated in every way to each other is where NetSuite is going to shine, right? Because having that sales information, that accounting information all in one place, it is, you know, it's invaluable having that there. You're not worried about, updates or, you know, things that are running nightly to see, okay, what are our sales numbers? Everything is real time in the same place, right? Your sales reps aren't waiting to get information about, okay, what did a customer buy? Or even trying to get the information like, don't sell to this customer because they're 100 days, you know, past due on their payments, right? All of it is in one place. So everyone's getting the information that is needed, you know, throughout that process. So, you know, here we're tracking, you know, our forecasts here based on, you know, scenarios like most likely, worst case, overrides, right? This is going through our transactions in the system as we're going through those opportunities and those quotes. And we are able to put our, you know, kind of percentages on it based on the statuses of those and where they're tracking throughout that funnel, right? So Joe, obviously you do this every day, right? You're tracking your sales through that sales funnel, through that process. And you can then, you know, kind of track where things are at. So, you know, it could be, in this case, maybe some completed invoices, but it's also, you know, as we go through. And so now we're projecting out not only, you know, deals that we are going to win, but cash flow, right? Because, okay, now we've won this deal. We know the projections of when the sales order should ship. Because once again, ERP, everything is in one place, right? So our, you know, manufacturing processes, our distribution processes, the fulfillment, everything is there. So we know when this is going to ship or when it should ship. Whether it does or not, that's another thing. But when it should ship, right? So we then can project out our cash flows, right? That's where, you know, having that information all in one place and being able to track this through a CRM is just invaluable to a business, right? So I love this functionality. You know, what NetSuite being NetSuite, it is flexible to allow you to use your CRM and track your sales processes and pipelines and forecasts the way that you need to do it, right? So, you know, obviously we come in there and help you configure that to what you need, but we don't put you in a box either and say, this is how you have to run your CRM. You know, that I like that about NetSuite. It maybe takes a little bit of extra configuration because it doesn't just say, do it this way, but it does allow you to run your business the way you want to. So
beautiful. Yeah, that's great. It's there, right? That's some things that, because I think it doesn't hit you over the head and say CRM tab. Sometimes, you know, it gets lost in the shuffle. You might have had NetSuite for, you know, some 5-10 years and it never really popped up. But, you know, if you're looking to save, you may be paying for a CRM you're not using, and sometimes they're super expensive. So thank you for showing that. 2 more areas I'd love to cover. The last area being the one that I really want to spend a lot of time on if possible.
Yeah.
But this next thing I want to talk about is the annoyance around inventory counts. They're terrible. They're terrible, right? I mean, so, I don't know.
No one enjoys doing it. Yeah.
No. So you've talked to me about smart counts. We've actually obviously been talking with clients. I feel like it's something that we should show if you wouldn't mind.
Let me see if I can do that.
You know,
I can pull that up here.
But the annoyance around inventory, this has helped.
Yeah. I say that, and this may be the wrong account.
And if you don't have it in here, we can go to my last category, which is actually more important, anyways.
Well, no. Well, I do want to talk about this though, because I think the point is a great point in general. Smart Count's a great feature, and so what it is, right? Smart Count is smart. Why this is important to our customers or prospects, right? Smart Count is a feature that was originally part of the WMS module in NetSuite. And so you had to go buy a full-blown WMS if you wanted to take advantage of this really cool, inventory count process, right? Mobile optimized. And the other neat thing that it does that I love, right, is it allows you to count while your transactions are in flight. You do not have to shut down operations, stop fulfillments, anything in order to do your inventory counts. NetSuite is tracking the changes in inventory through fulfillments as you are doing the counting. That's what's really cool, right? And so I have done this in the past, as a NetSuite customer, where we brought in 50 people on a Saturday and all went through the warehouse and counted everything, right, so that we could get it done when we weren't trying to ship stuff. You don't have to do that anymore. Right. So Smart Count is a really cool feature that allows you to take advantage of those, those mobile friendly versions of NetSuite, and then be able to do your inventory counts in a much better way. But what is great now is NetSuite has unbundled that from WMS. So if you are having trouble with your inventory counts, but you're not quite there to a full-blown WMS system, you can buy the Smart Count module completely on its own. So we have a lot of customers that are in that in-between stage, right? They've got mature warehouse systems and management. They don't really fully need a WMS yet. Smart Count is a great bridge to that.
That's a great point, because we used to stay with WMS a little bit when it was a smaller client. It didn't need it per se, or it wasn't worth the cost, right? That's the big point, is you can get it now, and it's not. It's a small add-on, and that takes care of a lot of the annoyance. And
NetSuite's doing that more and more with a lot of features. Another one recently they did was the grant management module. That was for forever part of the nonprofit version of NetSuite only, and you had to buy the nonprofit version to have grant management. They've realized that there are customers who are very much for-profit businesses that also maybe have grant management that they need to do. Right? So you can now buy the grant management module completely on its own separate. So there's a lot of things like that NetSuite is doing, where they're things that were part of a bigger bundle, they're decoupling so that you can take advantage of them in your business as well. So
that's a good one. We'll have to keep a track of these things. I forgot about that, or I didn't know, or you probably told me I forgot, but that's grant management part of it. That's a new one. I'm always learning from you.
Something.
I think this last thing I want to bring up, we've gotten some whispers about it from NetSuite. Apparently, if anybody here is going to Suite World, it's going to be a big piece of it. It's the buzzword that we all love. It is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. No, it is AI everything, right? So if we've been on NetSuite for a while, you kind of know what NetSuite can do, but there's this new AI connector. This is what kind of blew me away recently. We've on Techfino side, Jonathan set it up for us. Yeah, I mean, if you could start showing around that, I think it's going to take, most people on this call, anybody that's had NetSuite, it seems like a bit of a game changer having this connectivity. I'm excited for you to show it, if you don't mind. And
happy to. Yeah, so this is a feature that is currently available, is out now, and it is free. So everyone at this call,
I should have said the free part. That was actually why I'm actually excited.
because we say this, Joe and I, a lot of times in the sales cycle, we say this to people. We say, NetSuite's always coming out with new features and things, and I think people immediately in their head start going, yeah, well, how much is that going to cost me then? There's a lot of cool new features that NetSuite comes out with that
Yeah.
completely free, right? They're just part of, I mean, you're paying for it, but it's part of your current subscription, right? You're not paying extra for this. So yeah, this AI connector, they quietly released it about a month ago. They are going to make a much bigger splash about it at Suite World next week, I think.
We actually uncovered a lot of information about it using AI to figure out what's going on. So
yeah, so it is called the AI connector. If I'll show you real quick, anybody that wants to go, and if you're a current customer, you're watching this, if you want to install it into your system, it's a Suite app, and you can just search for MCP. It's called MCP Sample Tools is the Suite app. That's what allows us to connect into NetSuite. Now, at this moment, as it was first released, it is only used with Claude AI, which is an AI tool from Anthropic. That is the only one that is currently functioning at this time. And you do have to have a pro account, which is one of their paid accounts, not that expensive, but it's one of their Claude's paid accounts to be able to do it. It will, as they are rolling it out now more and more, it will work with pretty much any AI tool that you use in your business, ChatGPT, or, there's a million of them now, right?
Okay.
Every day there's a new AI tool. The idea is you should be able to connect whatever AI tool you're using into NetSuite. There are, if you want it, like I said, if you want to do that, today, there are help documentation out there already to help you set it up. It's very simple. I did it in about 10 minutes. So, which is nice, right? Once again, NetSuite's giving us some cool new things to try out. So let me show you. I've been playing around with this for a little bit. This is Claude that I'm in here, right? So earlier I did this and I said, hey, maybe you're working on a safe search. One of the things about safe searches is cool is that you can create formulas within it, for instance. And I am once again not a developer. I've learned a lot about using formulas in NetSuite, but a lot of times I'm Googling around trying to say, okay, how can I need a formula for this or for that, right? So I just came in and asked Claude, hey, I want to do a formula for my year-over-year revenue comparison, right? And it spit this out for me, right? This is in NetSuite format. I kind of validated, right, this case win statement. This is a SQL formula. And then it explains to me then the components that are in there and the things that I maybe need to go in and update as part of that, right? For my specific instance, as well as making sure, hey, you need to use a formula numeric field or a formula text field. Make sure that you're putting in, the current and prior year periods within your safe search, right? So here's some tips that go along with that. And then here's something that if I want to modify that, right? These are things that I like I said, I do these all the time. I love building these. To me, they're fairly simple. For a lot of users, this is not easy or intuitive. It's not something that you do in your day-to-day life and not something that you maybe have the time to learn. The ability to come into a tool like this and say, hey, I'm trying to do a formula thing here. Can you give it to me? And it spit it out in a matter of seconds is awesome, right? In a natural language. And I've been, like I said, done some other things in here as well. I said, give me the vendor bills that need to be approved, right? And it gave me, okay, here are the list of bills. And I kind of went back and forth with it. I said, I need some additional information, right? And it gave me a nice chart here. These are all the bills that are, recent unpaid vendor bills, right? So, and then, what do we start doing with that then? We start thinking beyond, okay, not just a list, but what is it that I need to do with this and automating that, right? I've used this. I imported some new customers. I just told it to create a customer. I created Joe as a customer in my account. I said, hey, here's Joe's name, his email address, phone number, create a new customer in NetSuite. And it did it, right? So it is using this connector to pull data out and create reports. So for instance, let's say I have this one here. It was trying to do some different things, gave me some errors in one case, but I told it, hey, just show me, for 2025 monthly invoiced revenue. I just simply said, give me, by month. I was looking for this chart right here, which is really cool. And it's interactive. It's telling me what the revenue is by month as I hover over it. So that's neat. It gave me some additional analysis, like what the total revenue was, average, highest and lowest monthlies. And then I come down here, it summarized it by quarter for me. I didn't even ask it to do that. It then gave me the monthly breakdown with, month over month, comparison and percentage of the total for the year, right? It did all these things completely on its own, giving me some additional analysis. So, yeah, AI is a buzzword. I don't think it's going to take all of our
But
jobs
it's here.
today, maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow, but not today. But I do see some value in this, right? For day-to-day users who, you're doing a lot of reporting, but that's not your strong suit, right? Of going in and building reports and stuff. Doing BI analysis is not what you want to spend your time doing. The ability to come in and say, hey, give me this report and it spit out analysis like this, I think could be invaluable for users.
It's that's use case for someone like me. I want to use that. My job is to, get with people, get with folks, see if NetSuite's a fit or not, right? Not messing around in NetSuite per se. This is great, been great, and the more I can learn this, the better,
And even for those people that are, that are developers, right? We've actually, our developers on our team have been playing with this and asking it to help them write some suite script within there, right? So they're actually, using it to more easily, do their jobs. So if you are someone, you have someone on your team that is more technically savvy and wants to code a little bit in the system, it can do that as well. We still need our team of developers. We're not getting rid of them, but to be able to bypass some of the, just minutia of putting together a code and get to the endpoint where, they're able to then test and iterate through it. A tool like this is going to be awesome, right? So we're excited about where this is going and what we can do with it. And that's why we're all playing with it and saying, okay, let's try this, let's try that. What can it tell us about this? And I know some other people that I've been reading about that have been playing with this are, even building agents into it as well to kind of automate some of their CRM functions, for instance, or, going beyond just simple information, but actually then taking action on it, looking for anomalies within the system, things like that. So pretty cool. I'm excited. Hopefully this doesn't take my job before I get to retirement age, but we'll see.
Hey, you got 40 more years based on how young you look, so I think you might have trouble.
I wish.
This is good. Yeah, this is great, man. Again, sometimes I'm always enamored. This is kind of how the process of Techfino is. This call is not unlike a lot of our calls where we're trying to figure out, is NetSuite a good fit, and for people that already have it, what can we? Is there anything that you're not doing with it that we can maybe do with it? Right. So it's kind of it should be kind of fun, right? But it also is business and it's serious. But we want to make sure that we have a good time while we also improve what we're doing. And so these were just again some of the advantages of NetSuite that you have. That nothing here is AI with this tool is free, right? So nothing here will should really cost anything extra. But it's there, and hopefully you guys and folks can take advantage of it if you're not, and if you are, take a look at it again, and maybe there's some things that you could do with it that you haven't been. And that was really the goal of this webinar, and hopefully and more webinars to come, right? So this is your third or fourth webinar, Jonathan, so far, one a month or
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So been starting this up.
Maybe my last. We'll see. I feel like every time there's just be like, no, we don't need that.
Hey, a good train wreck is also important for people to see, and hopefully today wasn't too bad for everybody. It was really fun for us. Our first time working together on something like this. We'll only get better. You guys have met Alyssa and Sean before. They take care of Techfino's current clients, and I'm the one that goes and annoys people that are fresh to Techfino. So I appreciate everyone hanging in there today, and hopefully you found this, learned at least something here. And we can't say thank you enough for being clients, and thank you enough for coming on this.
Do we have any questions from anybody?
Yeah. We all unmuted here. How does this work here?
I think just type it in the chat, I think is what the
chat questions. Okay.
Pop in the chat there and
this is the part where I would ask Jonathan inappropriate questions about what Claude and what we could do with NetSuite, try and stump the Claude, but
it is funny. Joe and I were playing with it the other day, and I asked it to do something for me, and it was like, I can't do that. I don't have access to it, and I literally just done it earlier. And I got a little angry with it. I was like, what do you mean? You literally ran this earlier. Why can't you do that? And it came back and it went, you're right. I'm sorry. And then it gave me exactly what I wanted. So sometimes you just have to push around a little bit, you know, don't let the robots take over yet.
That was pretty crazy.
We're not gonna go down without a fight, is all I'm saying. You know, we're gonna.
That's so true. So true.
Robot overlords are gonna have to work harder.
And you put up this, good QR code here too, and yeah, it is a thank you for coming on again. Hopefully you've taken advantages before, but yeah, feel free, and Sean or someone will be or Alyssa can reach out, and thank you, Stephanie. That was very helpful. Thank you, Stephanie, so much for saying that. So appreciate you coming on. But like this says here, any follow-ups, if if you want to take advantage of that, if you just want to go to our website, contact us that way too. We're always here to help. I think most people enjoy working with Techfino, and we enjoy NetSuite a lot here, and we know what it can do and what it's good at and what it's not good at. So we'll give you a straight answer on whatever you're trying to do.
Oh yeah.
Oh, now it's time for questions. Sorry. Now we
apparently can't run a slideshow, but we're
that helps now. That's better now. Awesome.
We can stick around for a minute, I guess. We got a couple more minutes. I'm happy to stay if anyone.
Yeah. I mean, it could be on topic here, or if it's something else that's related. I mean, that's what we do, and
Joe and I can just riff whatever.
Yep. Exactly.
Anything else that I didn't mention, Joe, that you like? I kind of just took over the whole thing, which is normal. But.
That's my goal on most things that I do with people, right? Just take over, and that's always my roof. Let's see. I mean, we talked about smart count, talked about users, employee center. I think most folks on here are probably pretty familiar with the integration piece and kind of what entails there, which is, it can be, worth it sometimes. I think, I'll come up with 5 more for next time, or whenever whatever you want to do. Oh, we have something else in here too. Thanks for the info. Awesome. Well, thank you, Deborah, for coming on.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And if you want, remember that QR code. Feel free to bother Sean and Alyssa as much as you can.
I'll go back to that. Yeah.
Especially Sean, if he's listening. Definitely get Sean. And but yeah, another great team there. They will keep track too of new things, new features in NetSuite that you may not know. So we do that for our current clients, is try and keep on track of things that they may want to use. So if it's something that's free, especially, and it's been released, keep track of what our clients are doing, what might help, right? So instead of having our clients have to read 100 pages of release notes, we can do that for you and report back what could be interesting. So
yeah. And 2025.2 is rolling out as we speak, so a lot of people are going to be getting some cool new features out there that may pop up and you may not have seen before. So yeah, definitely coming out to your systems now.
Yeah,
good stuff. And for anybody on here too that we did mention a couple of things like a smart count, for instance, that is an additional module you could buy, things like that. Even if you're currently on NetSuite, we're always happy to help you with the licensing, things like that you want to look at, understand what things might cost and stuff. So we're always happy to help no matter what.
Great point. Well, maybe a good point to end on. Thank you, everybody, for coming on again. And Jonathan, thank you for letting me field some I gave him an idea, but I didn't give him the full idea, but I wanted to ask him. So I got more in the quiver when need be. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you coming on, and hopefully, we'll get to talk one day, down the road. See you, everybody.
Right. Bye.